So welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. This week we are on to episode 11. Seems like we said this a couple of weeks ago, but seems like a lot of episodes, but it feels like it's also not been this many at the same time too. So how are you getting on, Shane? What's the crack?
No, I'm a whole lot now. Just getting through it, yourself. Just kind of waiting for the Premier League to come back now eventually in the next month or so because it just feels like the break goes on and on forever with the FA Cup kind of break now as all of us. Watched
Yeah,
Ireland over the weekend get through against Bulgaria. They always make hard work for, I suppose. They played some nice football at times over the two games as well. So maybe the future is a bit brighter than we were thinking when we were talking about them last week.
yeah, true. A lot, some good stuff. I think it's still the same kind of issue though with the missing in midfield, and I don't know unless John Patrick or something takes a big leap in the rest of the season. I don't see how that gets fixed before the qualifiers, but at least we look a bit more competitive, even though it was just Bulgaria. But look, we got the job done. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Um, and the other for me, I went to the Carlow match at the weekend. It was fairly dismal because obviously they couldn't get promoted anymore, so played a lot of subs. There's a bit of a fall off there between the quality in the other weeks and this week. I have to say, wasn't very impressive. But look, it was a final game of the season. Didn't really matter. So look, we'll take another loss on the chin before we move forward in the season. But yeah, it wasn't ideal to pay the full price to go up there and see a second string
The
team
second
play.
team, yeah.
Yeah, so and, being in Dr. Cullen Park as well, it's obviously they're not in a state of the art stadium there or something
No,
so
it's definitely not a five-star hotel you were in anyway.
absolutely freezing up there. But sure, look, have to put in the hard yards if you want to celebrate a good win in the summer. So
Exactly.
yeah, not too good for Limerick either. What's going on?
I don't know. There was a lot of players playing their first game of the season as well. They're kind of a bit of a mix and match team as well. But only scoring 115 is very un-Limerick like over the whole John Kiley era. Really, the points have been going over 25, 26, 27, 30 points kind of nearly every week. So to drop to 115, bit of a
Yeah,
shock. Now I didn't actually see it. I had other commitments, but
on the fast.
yeah, and all I can do is hope that it was kind of just one of those and just move on. It won't be as bad. I think Cork looked really impressive, though. Really,
And they
really
were
impressive.
they were top class. I think in my eyes now they're the team to beat. Um,
Yeah,
they
they
were
look
only
like
in
it.
second gear in that game. They could have won
Yeah,
by a lot more, but yeah, it'll all come together now in the championship. This is only the league, so not to take it too much into it.
don't
Like
take it
really,
to heart.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, hundred
But
percent.
yeah, still nice to get a few days out over the earlier months, especially for us to get a few wins as well. That was nice. But let's get into the American sports. Let's fly over the Atlantic, and we're going straight to the Mile High City. We're going to Denver, and I'm going to talk about Jamal Murray. So this is somebody this season who has been very, let's say, divisive, the opinions of him amongst the media. I think he received a lot of hate kind of for a number of reasons. So, first of all, I kind of agree that he clearly doesn't put in his maximum effort on in every game, and that's something that is said about him a lot, especially recently. That you can tell that he hasn't been putting in that effort, possibly that people expect of him, especially since of his big contract that he recently signed. It's a bit funny seeing a bit of a less effort, but he has been an excellent playoff performer in the past. So I don't really see too much of an issue right now. Yes, he doesn't perform every single night, but what's to say he won't turn it around come playoff seasons again? He has played more minutes this season than usual, up to 36.4. That's with the lesser roster, I suppose, less coverage there. But he still has similar stat lines to his other seasons. He's around 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and his shooting percentages are pretty good, around 48 field goal, 40% from the three, and 89% from free throws. So, look, to me, I think I'm willing to see what happens when it goes into the playoffs. I still think he'll turn it on, and like he kind of did the other night against Houston, he just turned it on, and you can see what he does when he has to.
Yeah, so yeah, I was going to bring up that Houston game as well because they were on a rotten run of form, and obviously then they go and beat Houston, but. Like I'd be on the more of the downer side than the upper side with him. like the media would be. Like I don't think he ever maximizes what he can do. Like I know averaging 22 points is really, really good, and his minutes are up as well, but he's the kind of player that should be probably averaging closer to 30, I think. Like, so I'd say
Yeah,
22, 4 and 6 on the season is it's probably an average like NBA player when
for his
he has the
contract,
talent
it's
to
not
be
enough.
kind of
I think.
exactly, yeah. Like he should be averaging closer to 30, and especially when he is playing as many minutes as he is as well, and with Jokic being out at the moment too, he hasn't really stood up as much as I expected he was going to stand up when Jokic has been out. Bar
Yeah.
that Houston game where he was like he was on fire the other night against Houston, but
Hmm.
aside from that, he hasn't really put anything extra in.
Yeah.
Or from me, from the outside looking in, is his averages have just kind of stayed the same across those 4 games that Jokic has missed. Instead of going up with like, oh, we're missing the main man now, someone else needs to step up and kind of like dish it out to all these teams, and he just hasn't been doing it. And as you said, the contract he's on, like he
Yeah.
needs to do more to earn the money he's been paid.
Yeah. And then some of the teams they played as well, like over that stretch. You look at when he does perform and when he doesn't. So, like against the Lakers, he dropped 26 points on 56% shooting, and they won by 5 points. The whole team in general scored 131, which is a pretty high scoring game. And then look at how he played against the Timberwolves. He had 12 points. They lost by 20 against against the Wizards. He had 24 points now, so not so bad, but they need to be winning against the Wizards, and they
Yeah,
lost by three
exactly. Yeah,
points. Like he should have took that game by the scruff of the neck and just said, "No, we're not leaving here without a win." Like literally in your own arena, and you're going to go out and do that. And then to the Trailblazers, 10 points again, and they lost by like 19 points. Now there's nothing on the Timberwolves and the Blazers. They've like Timberwolves have been obviously a strong playoff level team. Blazers look a little bit better this season, but those games, at least in the Timberwolves one, needs to be close, and they need to be winning the Blazers game and the Wizards game, even without Jokic. They need to be, and that's on him because of, like we mentioned, the money he's paid. He needs to man that load, and I think they could well finish second still in the West. They could finish third, they could finish fourth, but I don't really fancy them too much against a Clippers or a Warriors or a Timberwolves in the first round. I think they could really, I think, to be honest, I think they're probably the second best team in terms of talent in the West. But if he's not going to show up in the way I think he will, but if he doesn't in the way I think he will, I don't think they'll take down any of those three teams that I just mentioned.
I agree with you on there because like you can't just have Jokic come in and do it all again. Like he needs help. He clearly needs help because he's out now with an elbow injury, I believe it is, and it's because bit of conspiracy theory here now, but like it could be with all the shooting he's having to do, everything he's having to do,
Mm,
like, and because he doesn't have that help. And Jamal Murray should be the man who's out there putting up 30 points alongside Jokic's 30. He should be the man that I just said that Wizards game. Like
yeah,
losing to the Wizards at home when you're pushing to get to be the second in the West and get maybe a better team. Like the Rockets they're good, but they're nothing special. Like and I'll
yeah,
say that myself, like the Wizard, they're sorry, not the Wizards, the Nuggets should be finishing second in the West. And
yeah,
if you can't trust the lads you're paying the big money to step up when Jokic is out, then as you said, they're not going to enter in playoffs.
yeah,
And I know he is a good playoff player, and he might be holding himself back a bit because he knows, oh, we're guaranteed top four here now, really. But
yeah.
just don't lose to the Wizards. Have a bit of pride in what you're doing, like.
Yeah, and I also think that like that I think there's a way you can plan it where like they might want to finish in a certain seeding to get a certain matchup. And I think that's bogus as well. I hate when teams
Mm.
do that because any of these teams, like they should be going out and saying we can beat them. Like we're going to get where we want to be. We'll do the best we can in the regular season. When it's up there for grabs, like a second seed, we'll get it and we'll see what happens. I think they're scared to play the Timberwolves again. I honestly do because of what happened last year, and I hate that kind of avoidance thing. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and the
Exactly, yeah.
Timberwolves are just a good matchup against the Nuggets. So the Nuggets need to go out and prove to people that they can take down this matchup. So look, let's see. There's a lot up in the air. And if he can hit the heights he did the year that they won the championship in the playoffs, there should be no stopping him. But it's hard to think that he will, considering how inconsistent he's been this season. Whether or not that's through effort or not, it still should be a lot better.
just one more thing on him. Like, so you're saying there about how he turned it on in playoffs, but
Yeah,
when someone is playing like he is at the moment, it's not as easy as it is just flick that switch and just all of a sudden become postseason Murray,
yeah,
as opposed to regular season Murray. He needs to be putting up the 25, 30 point games consistently. It's easier to go from that to like 35, 40 winning games than it is going from like tens to twenties to tens to trying to push on and then be like, oh, I'm going to throw up 35 now.
yeah,
Like I don't see how he does come postseason just turn this on and become Jamal Murray we saw the year they won the title.
yeah,
I'm not convinced by him, and I think anyone who comes up against him will be licking their lips. I think.
yeah. The only reason I still think that they will is because he kind of does surprise you in that way. That the 2 years he has performed really well in the playoffs, he hasn't been that good in the regular season, or
Mm.
not that good, but similar statistically to now. But now again, as we mentioned, this season he's playing more minutes, so he should have more output. So this is probably, in terms of per minutes, this isn't the same as other seasons. So yeah, I think your point is very valid there. Like, can't argue with that.
Yeah, I'm happy to move on now. If you're
Yeah, work away, man.
done with him,
Go for your team.
the thinking I picked is the Miami Heat, and I picked them because I don't know where this run of form has come out of, and how they've gone from kind of pushing for a playoff play-in position to now talks of them tanking. Like if they're going to tank, they'd surely done at the start of the season, but to just kind of they've now lost 10 of their last 11,
Yeah, it's
and
embarrassing.
they've forgotten how to shoot. Like every single player on the team has forgotten how to shoot. They're now 29 and 41. So they were nearly at a 500 level when
Hmm.
before this run started. Now all of a sudden they can't do anything. And main reason I brought it up is I wanted to get your opinion on teams like this, just deciding mid-season to just start tanking, or three-quarters of the way through the season to say, oh yeah, let's just go lose every game now and get a higher draft pick. Like
Yeah,
I know that they have a lot of space coming up in cap. I think they have about 80 million coming up in cap space. So like they kind of have the position there to do a big rebuild if they want, potentially or bring in one superstar. But to go from a team who are pushing for playoffs, definitely going to get a play-in position from where they were, to now losing 10 and 11, losing to absolutely everyone. Like, how does it happen? Where does a
yeah.
run like this come from? Like,
I don't know. The first literal line I wrote here is that they're stinking it up. Like, they're literally
mm,
stinking up the East right now, and considering how poor the East has been at times. But I don't know. In terms of my opinion on that, like, it depends the situation. Like, for obviously, I think I'm not saying this to be an excuse for it to be biased or whatever, but in the Sixers situation, it makes a lot more sense because
yeah,
their main guys are injured and they didn't get it going at all this season. And so, yeah, they can tank right now, and they kind of need to keep their picks into this top six protected. So if they don't finish in the bottom six teams, it's going to the Thunder. So they have to tank if they want their pick. Whereas if this is what the Heat are thinking about doing, now, to be honest, I don't think they will. All it being like this Heat culture, Eric Spoelstra, all that stuff. I honestly think that, like, they're still 10th in the East, so they're still in the play-in, and the Raptors are 5.5 games back, and the Raptors are tanking as well. And I think they've been tanking since the start of the season. To be honest,
yeah,
they started winning a few games lately as well for absolutely no reason. So
yeah,
that's made the gap smaller, and it's funny because one team who you think they need to push on and be better, they just lose 10 games in a row. And then a team like the Raptors, you're like, you need to lose. What are you doing? They're winning like 6 out of their last 10. So yeah, I agree with it in certain cases. I also don't agree with it when it's like a perennial tank that you're like doing it every year on year on year, like the Sixers did before.
like the
Um,
Rockets did up until about a year ago, where they was like when
yeah,
they had Silas, like he was there just to tank because he was clearly not a good head coach. Like, and that drove me insane watching him for 3 years,
yeah,
losing, 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 putting up 10, 15 losses in a row. So I can only imagine what Heat fans are going through at the moment, where sure, they were looking good. Like they were 29 and 31, I think, in around that,
mm,
28 and 31. So,
yeah. They're around
and then all of
500.
a sudden, yeah, and now all of a sudden they've lost 10
Hmm.
and they literally cannot shoot. No one on the court can shoot from anymore. Tyler
Yeah,
Hero can't put up a shot to save his life at the moment. I don't know what's
which
going on.
which is madness from where he was at the earlier in
Yeah,
the season. We were only singing his praises before the All-Star break.
yeah, exactly. He couldn't miss a three, and now he can't. Literally can't put one up now.
It's like winning the 3 point contest. Put
Yeah,
a curse on him, like because like suddenly he's not been able to perform. But look, I still think that I think they're absolutely stinking it up. They might make it out of the play-in, but they're going to be in the play-in definitely. They'll finish in the top 10.
yeah, they will
I think
surely.
they'll probably finish 10th, but I don't think they're going to try to lose, and I think they will turn it around a little bit. I could see them winning maybe six of their next 10 games or something like that. Like they did just beat the Hornets, which is the exact team you want to go up against when you're on a
Yeah,
10 game slide.
yeah. You want the Hornets or the Wizards really when you are on a slide like that. If you're not trying to
Yeah,
keep losing, you want to play one of those two and make it easy for you to win.
that's it exactly. But like they're they've scored the fifth least points in the league this season at
Mm.
109, and they're also fifth worst in the league in terms of free throws attempted. So like they're not getting into the paint and drawing fouls. They're not slowing the game down when it has to be slowed down. They're letting games get away from them. They're not getting to the line, and it's like okay, the Celtics don't get a lot of free throws, but that's because they shoot a crazy amount of trees. And then you're looking at the Heat. They're shooting 38 threes per game, which is quite a lot, but it's only on the 36% average across the whole team, which is 17th in the league. So it doesn't really add up. And one guy who I really want to kind of put a lot of pressure on here is Terry Rozier. What on earth is he doing? Like he's shooting 39% from the field, 30 from the three, 11 points per game. This man is getting 25 million this year, the same money that Jalen Brunson is getting this year, and he's doing absolutely nothing. He has been disgraceful for them.
Yeah, he was the one I have on the list there as well, kind of like the main problems they're going through at the moment. Like he's another man who has just forgotten how to shoot. He's forgotten to do everything. Like his turnovers are after going up as well. Everything that's bad has gone up and everything that's good has gone down up for him in the last 10 games. And
Yeah,
I just said like he's getting the same money as Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson is flying at the moment.
yeah,
He's shooting out of this world. And that's going back now. That's not kind of been a flash in the pan either. He's been doing that for maybe the last 10, 15, or 20 games. Like, so, like, Terry Rosen needs to pull his head out now and just kind of get back to what he was doing because,
mm.
like,
Uh,
Miami here in serious trouble otherwise if they can't get him and Tyler Hero back able to shoot again.
yeah. And I thought when they signed him, I thought that would be a good addition when they had Jimmy there, and then it was just like he's just been poor since they got him, and it's just a very downward spiral kind of. I thought he was a solid player previously, and I liked him at times, and I liked him when he was with the Hornets. But this is just really, really bad, and it's kind of sorry to watch the way he's playing. But hopefully, Hero can turn things around. They're gonna need Andrew Wiggins to really step up.
Yeah.
He's only played like 13 games for them so far. He had a big game now in that win against the Hornets, so maybe he can kick on. But then, as we've seen in recent seasons, he's not a guy you can really rely on to be consistent. An interesting game is tonight when they're playing the Warriors. So we have Jimmy playing back against the Heat
Yeah.
and Wiggins playing back against the Warriors. So that'll be an interesting one. Now, obviously, that will be have been played by the time you guys are listening to this, but I think that's a pretty interesting game here on Tuesday night. What do you think? I think the Warriors are going to absolutely make a joke out of them,
Oh, I
even
think the
without
Warriors,
Steph.
yeah, the Warriors by 15 or 20, I'd say. They're just going to
Yeah,
pull away. And like the first half might be close, and then Miami will just do what they've been doing for the last 10 games and just kind of
yeah.
slowly crumble, and then the Warriors will just pull away, kind of. And Jimmy Butler is going to put up.
Oh, he's going to go crazy.
Yeah, he's just going to like forget about his 15 assists a game. He's going to have 0 assists and 49 points or something mad like that. He's going to tear him apart on his own tonight. I
Oh, he's
guess.
going to be going. I can see him getting three or four blocks as well, just absolutely
Yeah,
feeling it. Like, yeah,
and then the big
that's
celebration
exciting.
every time. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
be watching that tomorrow morning anyway for sure.
yeah, that's going to be a good one. Well, lads, James here. Just thought this was very funny coming back to edit this after the fact. If you don't know already, the Heat won the game 112-86. They were literally 17 points up at the half. The game was over, and Jimmy had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and not a singular block. So, we couldn't have been more wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on the Heat. Do you have anything else for them?
No, I kind of more wanted to talk about like your opinion on the tanking, and we've gotten to that as
Mm,
well. So I'm happy
yeah,
enough with that,
cool.
Jeff. For you, right?
Yeah. Well, let's move on then to the football. So we're going for something a little bit different since, as you mentioned at the start, it's FA Cup weekend, which is so weird to come back from
International
an
break.
international break and go into like quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So we only have
Yeah,
8 teams playing, or only seven from the Premier League, and then we have to wait till midweek next week for a bit of action again. But look, what we're going to do is a bit of a preview on the games and who we think is going to win each. So I'll take the Saturday games maybe. I'll go with my predictions first. We'll talk about them and you can respond with your predictions and then maybe you'll go with the
perfect.
Sunday first.
Sounds good, yeah.
So first of all on Saturday at 12:15 in the afternoon we've got Fulham at home to Palace. So what I've gone for here is a Crystal Palace away win. I think I do like Fulham at home, but looking at their record at home, I honestly thought it was better than this. But Palace's away record is nearly the exact same as Fulham's home record in the league. So they're a very similar playing field in terms of that. Obviously, two London teams, it'll be an interesting one. But Palace have only lost once since February, and that was to Everton. And you're looking at them there battering Villa a few weeks back 4-1. Very impressive at times. And I think yeah, that like look, you had them in your power rankings only a couple of weeks ago because
Yeah.
of how well they've done. So I think yeah, I think that's one that I think could be an away victory there. And then for the quarter-past 5 game on Saturday, we have Brighton at home to Forest, and I've also gone for an away win here as well. Now I have Brighton in my power rankings, but I just think Forest after beating them 7-0 only a couple of months back. I just think that Brighton, yes, they will want to kind of get their revenge on that, but I just think Forest, they're in a different kind of gear this season, and I think they can end this Brighton run. And I think they really want to get to the levels of getting close to winning a trophy. I know they're in the top four, but I think they'd really want to press on now in this FA Cup. So I could see two away wins there on Saturday. What do you think for those two games?
The first thing I want to say is that like of these four games, if any team doesn't put out their strongest 11, then it's a shambles, I think, because so Man
Yeah.
City being kind of the biggest, like the only kind of established Big Six team that are left, it's a massive chance for any of the other, definitely if the other six, Preston maybe not as much because they are punching way above their weight here now to be this far even. But like
Hmm.
if Aston Villa don't put out their best team, Forest don't put out their best team, then I think it would be utterly ridiculous. And a bit like you,
Especially after international break.
exactly, yeah, and kind of get minutes back into legs of the players who didn't go away as well. So I think Fulham will beat Palace.
Okay.
I just I have a funny feeling. I think Marco Silva is a great manager. I do. Well, obviously, Glasgow's a great manager as well, but I think this is like Fulham's best chance of doing anything, and the
Yeah.
cottage is going to be rocking at 12:30 on Saturday morning as well. So I can see Fulham winning that. But I agree with you. I think Forest will beat Brighton.
Okay.
That 7-0 is still going to be that's going to be well in the memories of both teams.
Yeah, I think it's
Brighton's
raw.
run, yeah, Brighton are on a massive run, and runs like that always come to an end. I know we say this literally every week when we're picking our Gan chances, like with runs always come to an end. And I think Forest would still have the number of Brighton, and I just said they're in the top four, but they really want a trophy this year as well. If they could get top four and an FA Cup final, then it
Oh,
would be their best
imagine.
year in 20 years. Like it would be absolutely incredible for them. So I do see Forest 2-0 and Fulham 2-1 would be my score guesses for the two Saturday games.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I think the Fulham one was probably the hardest one for me to predict, honestly,
Same
because
with me,
they're
yeah.
so I think they're such a similar level, to be honest. And I like both managers. I like both squads. I like the way both teams play. So yeah, and it's a kind of a bit of a derby there as well. But yeah, it's good. We're both on the Forest page for similar reasons.
Yeah.
But you want to give us your Sunday? So what do you think?
Yeah, so in terms of the Sunday, I think the first game was the easiest one to pick. I'd say it was the same for
Yeah.
you as well. If the half one on Sunday, you have Preston hosting Aston Villa, and there's no way it's not going only one way. Like, but there's no way that Preston are going to put up. They won't be strong enough to match Aston Villa.
No.
If Aston Villa put out their best 11, if Asensio was back face, I'm not sure. I'm not sure was he in the Spain squad, but if he's back face, Rashford's on fire, Watkins is on fire. It's going to be too much for him. Robbie Brady playing left back up against Asensio potentially will just be something for Irish fans to watch behind the couch. I think Villa will probably be easy enough 2 or 3 nil. I think. And the other game though was difficult,
Yeah.
really difficult. And I have gone with Bournemouth to beat City, but I think it's going to go to extra time and
Okay,
maybe all the way
nice.
to penalties. I think
That'd be a
with the
nice
way,
way to wrap up the weekend.
yeah, 100%. I think with the way like Bournemouth have been playing this season, they're a good match for City, especially at Dean's Court as well. Um, I think it's going to be a really really tough game for Man City. Man City aren't in the best run of form. I know they beat Newcastle and got a draw against Brighton, but outside of that, like they've been stinking it up pretty much all season.
Yeah,
And Bournemouth have been in a good run up until recently as well when they lost to Spurs. No, drew with Spurs. Sorry, they've been
true.
up till they
Yeah,
drew with Spurs, but I can see Bournemouth, another team, kind of. There's a big. They're probably their best chance of winning a trophy in the next 5 or 10 years with the way the things have fallen from. If they
yeah,
can knock out City, then they'd be right up there in a really good shout of getting there. And it might take extra time, it might take penalties, but I do see them getting past City this year. I think City, the way City's season has gone, it wouldn't surprise me if they did go and win an FA Cup and still sneak into top four. But I
yeah.
don't think it's going to happen. What do you
No,
think on them?
I don't know about the. I really don't think they're going to win the FA Cup City, but maybe the top four. But I think for the two games on Sunday anyway, I've gone with Villa. I think, yeah, like you said, it's the easiest one to be honest. It's a funny one because like I feel like if they were playing like a team that's in like League One or something, you'd be still a bit more iffy about it. I just feel like Preston are like in a position in the Championship right now, like bottom half, that kind of thing is just like you're just ruled them out straight away.
Yeah,
I think if they were in the playoff mix in the Championship or like top three in League One or something, I'd honestly be like, okay, maybe you never know really here. But this one is almost a lock for me. Like I think Villa will do the business on them definitely, and I think definitely if City get knocked out, Villa surely have to be the favourites to win it all. But
oh God, yeah, especially
I
with
think,
Emery as well, because he
yeah,
knows how to win cups. He's
and I
always known how
think
to win
already
cups.
they should be the favourites to be honest. But yeah, Emery definitely is a factor there. And then I've gone with the same as you as well. I've gone with Bournemouth. I kind of said that they could, like I've mentioned a good few times already, but they love causing chaos in their games, and Pep
Mm.
just can't stand that. And he doesn't know how to counteract it, and we've seen it a number of times that he can't counteract it very effectively this season, which is probably one of the things that's driving him the most mad, like that he's not able to counteract this chaos kind of play and physicality and stuff. So I think Bournemouth will get one over on them. I think if it was in the Etihad, I might feel a bit differently.
Oh, it'd be a different story for me if it was in the Etihad. I'd be
Yeah,
back in City all day.
just having it at home is
Mm.
different. Yeah, but the fact that it's in that small stadium will be rocking. Fans are all close to the pitch. I think the City players will be under a lot of pressure because they'll
Mm.
know that this is their last chance of winning something this season. So yeah, I think Bournemouth too. I think they'll get there. So let's see what happens. But I think that would be a really nice lineup to have. Forest, Villa, and Bournemouth left, and then one of the other two. Yeah, I think that would be like a really nice final four group. And what do you think?
Yeah. I think I just want to go back to a point you made on Preston there, kind of how they're kind of sitting in the middle of the championship. Like they're not going up, they're not going down. So their season is kind of petering to an end. I hate that term, but it's the best way to put it, that they're almost on the beach. Whereas
Yeah,
like there's no way they can turn it on enough to get one over on this Aston Villa team. I would be shocked if they come out here and get Villa 1-0 or 2-1 or something. I just don't see it happening. Other than that, I
yeah.
think I think the other three games will be very, very tight, all three of them.
Yeah, no, I think they will, and I think that meant, like you mentioned, if it went to like extra time or penalties in that game, that would be really like an exciting way for Bournemouth to get through. So it's an interesting one. I wonder, will any of these games go to extra time or penalties? I'd like to see one of them at least going to penalties because it's
Me as
always
well.
good crack in the FA Cup. But yeah, that's all I kind of have on those ones. So those are predictions, and let's see how we get on in them. So kind of moving on to another prediction game. So we have Gan Chance now. So last week Shane back again with another 5 pointer. Here we go. He's back on top. I almost followed up. I had two wins, and then the Clippers were very close against the Thunder.
Yeah.
They lost by 2 points, so that let me down. So now the gap is 10 points again. So just as I clawed a bit back, the man's gone 10 again. So do you wanna go first this week since you're the victor from last week?
Yeah, why not? So I've gone one football and two basketball this week. So I have actually put my money where my mouth is, and I backed Forest to beat Brighton on this. So Forest are 3-1, Brighton are 4-5. So Forest are odds on. When I checked this morning,
Yeah,
they were anyway, and I think it
yeah,
stayed the same. I think Forest at 3-1 at a great price. I think
yeah,
it's
they are.
mad.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do think it's mad. Unless they're kind of, I didn't write down what the draw was, but unless they're back in the draw and going to extra time, I couldn't believe
Mm,
Forest at 3-1. So I think they're a great bet.
yeah.
My other two are actually safe enough in the NBA this week. So I've gone for the Wizards with 15 and 56 to beat the Nets, who are 23 and 49. They're two really, really terrible,
What a
terrible
game!
basketball teams. It's going to be
I'm
an
sure you're going
all-time
to be
stinker,
watching
I
that one,
think.
all right.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure the Wizards beat the Nets. And then I've gone for the Suns, who have 35 and 37 to beat the Timberwolves, who are
Yeah.
41 and 32. I think it's a
Okay.
closer matchup than the records say. I think the Suns are kind of they're hot and cold, but they are in a 6-4 run at the moment. So
Yeah.
you never know. They could beat the Timberwolves and get me another 5 pointer, hopefully too. See,
Well,
just get you. 10 points is too close. I don't like it. I need you further back.
yeah. Well, look, we're either both going to do well or both going to do badly this week because I've also gone for Forest away at Brighton. So yeah, same reasons that we already highlighted before, same prices I've got here. I've also gone for the Suns to beat the Timberwolves, because I just think that now that it's getting to this stage where the Suns need to win a few games to ensure they make it into the play, and I think Durant will probably turn it on a bit, and he'll do the business. I think sometimes they can perform, and they did last night. They beat the Bucks in a pretty entertaining game. So I think they could go out and beat the Timberwolves on Saturday. I think it's Friday night at midnight,
Friday
and
night, yeah.
then the third one I've gone for is the Bulls to beat the Lakers. So one that I picked last week already, and I came up. So they're playing again this weekend. and back in Chicago again. So the Bulls are 32 and 40, and the Lakers are 43 and 27. So still a big gap there, despite the Bulls beating them last week. So look, it's not broke, don't fix it. Gonna go back
Yeah.
with that again.
That is one
Hopefully,
of the ones that I really hope comes into you as well because the Lakers are starting to annoy me a bit as well. So kind of bring them back down to earth a bit as well if they lose again.
yeah, to the
They're
Bulls
kind of
again.
they're
But
getting too close to the Rockets now for my liking. They're only 3 games
yeah,
back on the Rockets now, so someone needs to put their
and
boot in on them again.
I had my Josh Giddey prediction that he's going to get a triple double on LeBron's head and win that game last time, and that he did. He almost had a quadruple double, man. He had like eight
Yeah,
steals. So let's see that again from Josh Giddey. Bulls are for some reason on some serious form since they got rid of Levine.
yeah,
Really turned their season around. But
massively.
let's
It's
see.
mad.
Yeah, and Kobe White dropping like 20 points at least in the last like 20 games. He's had like 35, 36, and 37 in his last three. I think the youngest player in Bulls history to have 35 plus points in 3 games, even younger than when Michael Jordan did it. I'm
It's
pretty
mad.
sure. So, yeah,
Yeah, the,
things
the,
are
the
looking a
Bulls
bit
are
up
up.
there.
Yeah, the Bulls are on an 8-2 run and they've won their last three.
Yeah,
They're probably safe enough in ninth now and to probably finish eighth or ninth in the play-in as well.
they will. Yeah, I
But
think
they will be pushing for that top eight.
they probably would have got up to the eighth. Only the Hawks are looking pretty good now too recently, actually. So it's
Yeah, it's,
pretty.
it's the Magic are 4 games ahead of them. Like they
Mm,
could catch that between now and the end of the season. We'll see. But
yeah, and the Magic are dropping a little bit. So
mm,
yeah, let's see what happens. But those are my three picks. So I'm looking to claw back a bit of points now. So it's 21 and 11 to Shane right now. So yeah, after making a bit of headway, I have to start all over again. But that's the way it goes. So on to the NFL now. Do you want to go ahead and give us your topic first?
so I just wanted to talk about the Chiefs. Obviously, they had a stinker of a Super Bowl, and we talked about them at that time. But it's kind of come to me again that I haven't been overly impressed with what they've done in free agency. They brought in some good players. Jalen Moore, I think, is a brilliant addition to kind of protect Patrick Mahomes. And they brought in Jerry Tillery for the pass rushing. But they've re-signed Kareem Hunt and then signs Elijah Moore. Sorry, is it
Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell? Sorry. So they've signed Elijah Mitchell. And so they've
Hmm.
four running backs. They have Pacheco, Hunt, Mitchell, and your man Steele, Carson
Hmm.
Steele. Kelsey is only going one way, and it's not back towards the top. So, like, is Noah Gray kind of the next tight end one there? But they need to sign one. He had his most productive season last year with 5 touchdowns,
Mm,
um, 40 receptions, and an average of 11 yards a reception. So that is a good start to kind of taking over. But it's very hard to replace Kelsey like for like because what he's done for Kansas has
yeah.
been outrageous. But I just want to get your opinion on like what you think they have done this off season, and do you see them kind of getting back towards conference finals again, back towards Super Bowls again next year? Because I really don't this time. And it's kind of when you underestimate the Chiefs, that's when they're at the most dangerous. But this year, I really do think they're going to have an off year this year.
Yeah, I think when you posed this question, I thought it was interesting because I was like, in the short term, no, I don't think they're going to be back to the same heights. But then when you look at the fact that Mahomes and Reed are there, you can't really say no, and definitely you can't say no in the long term. Like they've got
Mm,
Mahomes there, so I think they're going to be a different team when they do come back to where I don't think it'll be next season. I agree with you there. I'm kind of questionable about some of the um, decisions they made. Now, I do like that they added Christian Fulton at cornerback, but he is a bit injury prone. And after Jalen Watson getting injured last season, look, if the three, him, Watson, and McDuffie are all fit, then that's a serious backfield. And it's a serious secondary that needed a bit of help after letting Snead go from the year prior. But still questionable there with the injuries. And then Jalen Moore, I know you mentioned he is solid when he came in for the Niners in the last season at times, but he has been like a backup, and I don't know why they paid him 30 million over 2 years, considering he's been a backup for most of his career. Now I do think he's a solid player, but I just question the money. I think kind of trying to fill that left tackle role has been something they've been desperate to do for a long time. And now a couple of deals I did like was giving Trey Smith a franchise tag, but they do need to sort out a contract for him right now because he's already been out in the media this week saying that they were talking about T. Higgins getting his contract built out after the tag, and he was the only other player to get tagged. He's the highest paid guard in the league this year, yes, but it's only a 1 year tag deal. He's 25 years of age. He's probably the best right guard in the league. So they need to sort out a contract for him before he starts turning a bit sour, especially if things go badly this season. He might want out if they haven't sorted a deal out for him. And I think retaining linebacker Nick Bolton, who was also a team captain in the playoffs, I think he's been very good for them over the last few years. Great tackler, rarely misses a tackle. So I think that was important too. But those are kind of the positive things on them that I thought they did. But I agree with you in general that it's been very underwhelming. I don't
mm.
think they've done enough for me to go after that Super Bowl. Oh yeah, they're going to turn it around this season.
Yeah, especially in the O line as well. Like that clearly needed so much help after watching the Super Bowl. And they
Yeah,
haven't really like they haven't brought in anyone standout to like, oh, he's going to make a massive difference to the O line. And so drafting someone for an O line is always risky as well because you don't know if they are going to come in, if they're going to be strong enough, if they're going to be good enough. So I thought they would do more in free agency with to kind of strengthen the O line and give Patrick Mahomes a lot more help because he clearly needed it watching that Super Bowl. I know he had that one massive pass, but outside of that, like he had no space or no time at all
yeah,
against the Eagles, and it clearly needed help, but they haven't given him.
yeah. That left tackle position has been a problem for a long time now. So
Mm,
I don't think Jalen Moore is the solve. He's a good player to have there, but they need to improve it more than that. I think it was interesting to run it back with Hollywood Brown this season.
yeah,
I think I don't know. I think maybe they're hoping that now that Rice is going to be, hopefully for them anyway, fit for the season, that they can do what they wanted to do with him in the slot and Hollywood Brown going deep with Worthy. I think we'll see. We'll see if it works. They tried it last year. They're going to try it again now. But I think the main thing is that when they come back, I think previously when they had Tyreek Hill, they were very explosive on offense, and that's the way they played, high scoring. They relied on Mahomes a lot. Then they shifted away from that to a more defensive approach. Now I think they'll stay with that this season because it's what's worked recently. It's what suits their roster. But I think that fans and kind of media may get a bit antsy on them if they continue to put up like less than 20 points per game, less than 30 points per game, and they start losing a lot of close games. then they might have to pivot again back to this explosive style offense and let Mahomes just let rip. But I could see that happening, but not soon. I think maybe in a year or two. But I would be hopeful that that's the way they go back to in the future. But what do you think of as an idea like that?
I'm the opposite to you on that because I think they are going to go back to that explosive play this year with the three wide receivers they have. I
Mm,
don't think the three wide receivers are world beaters by any stretch. I don't think they have a Tyreek Hill, but they have Xavier Worthy and they have Hollywood Brown who do love to go deep.
yeah,
And as we said this at the time, that like there's no way they go into next year again and can win 15 close games. It doesn't happen. That was a freak that season they just had was a complete freak season. There's no way he's going to risk it going in and oh, if we just score 19 points, we'd hold the other team to 18. I can see him going in. That's why they've signed all these running backs as well. That they're going to just make. They're going to get strong people running. They're going to get strong wide receivers running deep. Going to get Mahomes thrown, and they're going to be aiming to be putting up 35 points again. I think this season,
yeah,
but I don't think it's going to work as well as Joe on paper. It might look, oh, it's going to be great, but I don't see him doing anything this coming season. I think it'll be a massive transition year, and then we'll see the year after.
yeah.
They might trade up the year after then.
That's kind of my main view, to be honest, as well. Like I agree with you that they're trying to do this now, but I don't think they will. Is was kind of what I
Mm.
mean. Like I think we'll still see them scoring low amounts of points because they don't have like a real world beater there. I think Wordy and Brown, while good weapons, I don't think they can do the things that they would need in an explosive offense, and I think they may have to fully buy back into what they had previously in the future if Mahomes wants to go that way, and obviously it'll depend a lot on his opinion too, because obviously he's the
Yeah.
guy over there. But yeah, I think there's an improving AFC obviously as well, so it's going to make it even harder for them this season. Like with looking at how good the Bills were last year. They've retained a lot of guys. The Ravens will have a point to prove this season. The Bengals have a point to prove. The Chargers in their own division are pushing on. So it's a tougher AFC, and I don't think this year will be their year. But then again, they'll be thinking Pacheco and Rice are back, and we've got a point to prove here. So you can never write them off. But I think yeah, I'm fairly confident to say that they're not gonna make the conference finals this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. And like one of the things I've written down when I was going through their attacking options, I wrote down that they don't, in my opinion, they don't have a wide receiver one. Like all their lads would be great wide receiver twos, two a superstar. They don't
Yeah,
have anyone that like is going. They don't have a Tyreek Hill. They don't have a Jamar Chase. They don't have anyone that kind of gets people paying big bucks to go and see him. Like they're the three wide receivers they have are a small bit underwhelming. Now they could prove
yeah,
me wrong because they have Patrick Mahomes and he can do anything he wants to the football.
mm,
But on paper, in my opinion, they don't have anyone who's a standout wide receiver one.
yeah. I think Rice is the closest to that, but obviously the injury didn't help. And I think with Kelsey being more injured, teams will know the ball's going. Sorry, not injured, more aging. You never know; he might get banged up a couple of
Yeah,
times if he tries to play too hard. But like he is used to being the first option. Teams know where the ball is going. It freed up Rice a lot in the season previous to this one, but now they'll know the ball is going to Rice. So I think yeah, it's going to make life a lot more difficult for him. But
yeah.
yeah, that's my opinion on the Chiefs. Do you have anything else before we move on to the tush push?
No,
So
let's get going on this.
let's get going on this rule change. So
Hmm.
obviously every year we've got the teams proposing rules to be changed, and this year the Packers proposed an amendment to Rule 12, Section 1, which is to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. So if the Packers' proposal passes, that section would then be amended to say that no offensive player may immediately push or throw their body into a teammate in an attempt to gain yardage. So it's basically a 10-yard penalty for attempting a tush push or a QB sneak with somebody driving you from behind. So that would just eliminate the whole game, the whole play, because no one's going to do that without the push from behind. So what do you think of this?
I think it's ridiculous. I think Joe, I don't agree with it. Like I think they're doing it because of how well the Eagles have maximized it over the last 3 or 4 years, and no one
Yeah,
has been able to come next to near getting as good at it as the Eagles have. And they're like, well, if we can't beat them, we're just going to take it away from them. And I just like
and I
no
hate
one
that.
has been seriously injured from doing this. Like it hasn't caused any injuries. It has caused a couple of head-on-heads, obviously, it's going to. But the quarterback sneak is head to head constantly. Even if the quarterback goes on his own, he's going kind of head first into traffic. Like I think trying to ban it is just nonsensical. It annoyed me reading back and reading through some of the proposals on it. Like I think
Yeah,
it's just like if you're going banning that because they're good at it, then go and ban Saquon Barkley from running and stop Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. So it's kind of like
yeah, yeah,
I know that's a bit extreme, obviously, like, but just because
yeah,
one person is really, really good at it
yeah.
doesn't mean you can just ban it because, oh, well, let's stop them doing it because I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, I think it's not in the nature of sports to just go like some team has like perfected this play. So, oh, but that's not fair anymore. So they're not allowed to do it. Like, it's not like as well, like you're looking at, the Eagles and Bills, right? If you look at their stats on it, they've scored a touchdown or achieved a first down on 87% of attempts, while the rest of the NFL has just been successful at 71%. That's according to ESPN research. So I think that is a point in itself that if every single team was doing this at a high level and they proposed this and they gave the reason that was like for health reasons or injury reasons, then you'd say, okay, fine, all the teams are doing it just as well. It's fair. But it's not fair because the Bills and the Eagles have built a roster, built a strong, big O line. They've got a good, strong running back, a good, strong quarterback. They've built the perfect teams, especially in the case of the Eagles, to do this exact play. You can't just come and take it away from them now because you don't like it anymore and it's not entertaining to watch. Well, like learn how to stop it then. You need to figure out a way to stop it. Don't be coming up here with this. You need to get rid of this because it's not fair, and there's health concerns surrounding it. Like, yes, okay, of course, the health of the players is important, but that's not the reason that you're proposing this.
Oh,
Most definitely, it's not.
100%. Like they've to come at it with the our players are getting hurt. Like I looked at the ESPN research as well, and there's been no significant injuries to anyone
Yeah,
across the last 3 years from the tush push. Like I
yeah,
know people have gotten hurt, they've set out a snap and then they've come back. Like no one has gotten seriously injured from this. And
yeah,
to use that as the kind of, oh, this is our motivating factor behind it. It's not. The motivating factor is that you can't do it as well as the Eagles and the Bills can do it. And now you're like, no, let's just stop them doing it altogether. Like
yeah.
as you just said there about how the Eagles in particular built a team around doing this. Like their
Hmm.
quarterback is unbelievable at doing it. Their center is so good at doing it. Jason
Yeah,
Kelsey was good at doing it beforehand.
yeah,
Like when they replaced Jason Kelsey, they replaced someone who can do the tush push.
yeah.
So like it's that kind of a thing. And now you just want to go, oh no, let's just rip this up and start again. They can find something else to do.
They
I think
literally just got
it's
a load of massive men, and they're like,
yeah,
literally, lads,
yeah,
this is what you're doing, and we're doing it
yeah,
well.
yeah. I think it's ridiculous. If this rule passes, I'll be fuming to be perfectly honest. I think it'll
Mm.
be the most ridiculous thing they could do.
I don't think it will because it needs 24 yes votes to pass, but then again, you never know. I think there might be enough teams that think that they still could use it in their plays. So I don't know. I think it could end up being close if the Packers convince a few teams. I heard Raheem Morris, the Falcons head coach, already said, yeah, that he thinks it should be banned too. So there's one vote already, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more in a similar boat to him.
I'm
But
sure the Chiefs will vote to get rid of it as well after losing the Super Bowl to him there. So there's another one for him
yeah,
as well. Like, but
one that should be banned more is Mahomes going down the sideline and trying to get somebody to hit him as
yeah,
he's going out of bounds. There should be a
100%.
penalty and a 10-yard penalty for that kind of carry on because like I hate that so much. Now he doesn't do it that much and he's using the rules as the way they are and manipulating them as all good players do. But I hate watching that too, where it's like baiting somebody to hit you out of bounds to get some kind of a flagrant penalty. I hate that stuff. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about here. So I'll move on from that. But yeah, I think tush push. We both want to keep it in the league. So fingers
Definitely.
crossed it will stay in.
Yeah.
So let's move on then to our power rankings to wrap things up. Do you want to give us your rundown of last week and then what you've gone with this week?
Yeah, so last week I had the Thunders had taken over top spot. The Cavs were second. Newcastle on the back of their cup final win were up third. The Rockets were fourth. Liverpool were fifth, and the Celtics were sneaking in at sixth, even though they were on an incredible run of form. I've gone for a massive change up this week. So obviously we didn't have
Oh,
any football, and
yeah.
I couldn't put Ireland in because they're not a club team. So I've gone for five basketball and one football this week.
Oh, nice.
So the Thunder stay top for me now. I think they are now the best team in basketball, despite the fact I've said that about the Cavs for probably
Mm-hmm.
probably 8 of the 11 weeks. I've said the Cavs are the best in basketball, but the Thunder have proven to be more robust than the Cavs have
Yeah.
been over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The Celtics have jumped up to second for me.
Oh,
Um, I think when it comes down to it, they will beat the Cavs. We said this a couple of weeks back as well for anyone who's been watching that. We said when it comes down to it in the playoffs that the Celtics will have the nous to beat the Cavs.
yeah.
So I think I think they're a really, really good basketball team. They haven't really lost anyone. They've been tipping away nicely. They're 9-1 now as well. And they're just flying along. They won't catch the Cavs. They won't win the I actually don't think they can win it anyway. I think the Cavs have that wrapped up, but
Yeah.
I think
I
they're a
think
better
so.
team than the Cavs now.
Yeah.
The Rockets are up to third for me. Um,
Oh,
for me now, it was more like I said it last week as well. Like it's not even about what they're doing or who they're beating. It's the fact that they're 9-1. I don't think we had many 9-1 runs last year. We were atrocious last year, and
oh no, definitely not last year.
the basketball I'm watching this year compared to last year is like two different teams. The jumping class has been unreal, and we'll probably get over 50 wins this year now, which is going to be just
Be great.
I said it, yeah. I said at the start about when we were talking about the tanking, how watching the Rockets for 3 years just tank and tank and tank, just for this now is it's almost worth it. But just I can't wait. I can't wait to watch the Rockets in playoffs again. I think it's going to be great, and they're up to
Yeah.
third for me. My one football team sneaking here, you'll never guess who it is. It's Liverpool. So I know
Oh,
that they had a really bad week coming up the international week, but they are still 12 clear at the top of the Premier League. They are still the best team in England, and if anyone is staying in there, it is going to be them. I have the Cavs in fifth. They're 6-4 in the last 10. They're not on the best run of form, but they do have their division clinched. They
hmm.
are still class. They're going to be a match to anyone. And I have the Warriors in
Oh,
at
nice.
sixth. We you picked them as your kind of your plucky little underdog to win the title.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buckets is Jimmy Bucketing. They're a really, really good team to watch, and you know what, they just deserve to be in here over any of the Premier League teams because obviously they didn't play, but no one had really stood out. I actually only
Yeah.
saw a thing during the week, sorry to harp on there, but no team in the Premier League has won 5 games in a row this year in the league alone,
Wow. That's crazy.
yeah.
Including Liverpool.
Including Liverpool. Liverpool have never won 5 games in a row. They've drawn one at some point in a run of 5 games. They haven't won 5 games in a row over the
Oh,
course of the season.
that seems really mad.
Yeah.
Is that like I wonder when have we had a season like that recently? That is madness.
Don't think so because like you had last year, I think City won 14 in a row or someone won 14 in a
Yeah.
row last year. So
Wow,
but yeah, I
that's
don't think I
crazy.
yeah. I'll let
Nice.
you get onto yours anyway.
Nice with the stats, just blowing me away with the stats as I lead in here, trying to throw me off. I've gone with what I've gone with is not the same as you. I haven't gone heavily on the NBA. I just kind of kept my same football teams in because I thought, they didn't warrant to be dropped out. But I like what you've done because, yeah, there is no standouts really in the football, as you've mentioned, for various reasons.
Mm.
So yeah, can't knock what you've done. But what I've gone with is I've stuck with the Thunder. At first, as you mentioned, best team in the NBA. Still, I'm going to keep sticking with them as I have from the start of the season. That they're going to win it all. They've won six in a row. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Newcastle stayed in second. I just thought no reason to drop them down there. Although Liverpool haven't played, they've actually moved up a spot because the Cavs were higher, and I just thought no, you have to move Liverpool up because the Cavs have been very poor, losing four in a row. So they're third. Then I've got the Celtics as a new entry. As you mentioned, they've been very good. They've only lost to the Thunder and the Cavs in the month of March. They've won
Yeah.
all their other games, so there's no reason for them not to be this high up, considering how good they've been recently. And I think I've mentioned it a couple of times, but they've been ramping up very, very nicely. Then I've gone for a new addition in fifth. I've gone with the Clippers, so they're 8-2 in their last 10. They just lost narrowly to OKC in my Gan Seans pick, but
Mm.
Kawhi looks excellent. He looks very similar to what he did at his peak. Obviously, the physicality is a little bit less, but he's still doing things a lot similarly to the way he used to. He hasn't lost anything, I think, in terms of skill. I think he's ramping up now at a nice pace. Harden looks really good. I just like the way they play in general, and I think looking at some of the games there, Kawhi is getting double and triple teamed now on by defenses, so that's going to be interesting in the playoffs
Mm.
if he can get back to that level. So yeah, I think they've gone in there. It was between them and the Warriors and the Thunder, and I just think on the last week's form, I've gone with the Clippers there. And then to round out the six, I just stayed with Brighton. Kind of as I mentioned before, they didn't play, so I didn't think to drop them out. But yeah, that's my six. So yeah, that's pretty much my reason and my six there. But yeah, a lot of interest in NBA action at the moment.
The
So
Cavs
things
dropping out
chopping
for
and
you
changing.
is not something I saw coming, to be honest. Now, I didn't think they were going to drop out completely after the week, but to
Yeah,
us, they probably deserve to because there's a lot of teams who've had better weeks than them
yeah. I think
over the last two
it's
weeks. I think
you
even
can see that from like both of us had them first. I think, and then
we bought them first 2 weeks ago, and then the
yeah,
Thunder took over last week, and now they've dropped out of yours completely.
yeah, and they're down to 15 yards. So that's a
Yeah,
look at like how they're fallen a little bit from grace. I think they will steady the ship, but it was a bit of an abysmal week there for them last week, losing four in a row. So
I
yeah,
think it's
that's
our
my
fault.
reasoning.
It's our
Yeah,
fault for praising Mitchell.
mostly your fault for saying that they're the best team in the league. I think let's put it all
Yeah,
on you.
I'm bad at everything bar Gan chance it seems. I curse
Yeah,
everyone bar the teams that are playing Gan chance.
and you do the opposite for Bronny. You absolutely tore him to bits, and then he came out firing. And then last
Yeah,
night in the G League, dropping like 40
39.
points. Here
Yeah,
we go.
39 and 70%. It's just ridiculous. But
We've got
as I
Stephen A
said,
saying he knew he was going to be good. We've got
mm,
Shane here live saying that he absolutely loves the man.
don't
Go
know if
on.
those are the
Can
words
we
I
get
said,
that?
but I'll let you away with it this one. I'll cut it out in post production.
No, let's see. Let's see with him. But yeah, it was funny though because you slated him, and then I was like, oh, I saw him have one good game, so I was like, of course
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to tag Shane in
yeah.
this. But yeah, that's
We'll
pretty
see.
much that's pretty much what we got for this week, lads. Thanks for listening. A little bit shorter than the last couple of weeks as we didn't have a guest on, but we've got another person lined up. If not next week, the week after, we're going to have someone on about the NFL draft. So keep an eye out for that if that's something you're interested in. Thanks again for listening. Give us a listen. Give us a subscribe, a like on whatever platform, and we really appreciate it. Shane,
And if anyone has anything they'd like us to talk about, just drop a comment on anything as well, and we'd be happy to pick anything up. So if anyone wants us to kind of talk about a specific part of the NFL or the NBA or anything, if they want us to drill down into a team, just let us know, and we'd be happy to do it. Like it would be kind of good as well for to take our mind off picking what we need to talk about as well, and give someone else a chance to
yeah,
just to have a word as well and see if there's anything you wanted to talk about, just drop a comment or just message us privately either of us.
yeah, good shout, good shout. We might throw up something on the Instagram there, a question box if somebody wants
Yeah.
to leave any suggestions for next week. So I like that. Yeah, nice one. All right, lads, appreciate it, and hope we get you back here again next week. See you later.
Look, lads.